Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. In this video, I am going to show you an article about Windows 11. What is this article? This is Microsoft is changing the Windows 7, show you where my mine is at. Microsoft is changing the Windows 11 minimum requirements. Now, this article was written by this guy named Richard Lawler. He's the one that wrote this article. Before I went to work this morning, I was online and saw this article, so I figured I'll do a video and show everybody what has changed. Now, the one thing I can tell you right now is if your computer is a 32-bit architecture, unfortunately, Microsoft is not supporting that architecture anymore. It's all going to be 64-bit. They've been talking about that for a long time. And I knew it was going to happen at some point. I thought it was going to happen earlier than it did. So if you have a 32-bit architecture running Windows 10, for right now, as long as Microsoft is supporting Windows 10, you'll be okay. Now, if you try to update to Windows 11, it's not going to work. This is where you're going to have to go buy a new computer or stick with Windows 10. Personally, I like to see both 32 and 64-bit, but the problem is the 32-bit is old architecture, and what's happening is it's costing more to support that architecture than it is just to support the 64-bit. And as I've always said, I'm waiting for them to come out with a 128-bit. I've been saying that for a long time. We'll see if that happens. So anyway, back to the article here. So this article, it says, now that Microsoft has announced Windows 11, you may be wondering what you'll need to install, confirming confirmation poll from last week's leak. All you need to run it is a 64-bit CPU, or SoC, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 64 gigabits of storage. Specs are only slightly higher than Windows 10's current requirements. This marks the end of Windows support for older 32-bit hardware platforms, just like I said. Even though it will continue to run 32-bit software, yet if you ever take a test and they say on a 64-bit operating system you need 32-bit or 64-bit, it will say you need 64-bit software. You can run 32-bit software on a 64-bit system. I do it all the time. Anyway, so, and this is a guy from Twitter, and it says, if Microsoft's Windows 11 upgrade checker is telling you that your PC isn't supported, check your BIOS. Yes, check your BIOS. Sometimes it might be turned off. On this particular computer, I'm running Windows 11 virtually. I do believe that it has the TPM and secure boot. I think I disabled those by accident, and that's why I had a hard time, and I didn't think about it till just recently. So what you have to do is, if you get this, you have to go into your BIOS, see if there's TPM and secure boot, turn those on. So the processor is 1 gigahertz GC gigahertz. This is the abbreviation for gigahertz, or a compatible 64-bit processor or system on a chip. That's what SoC means. When I saw that, I was like, oh, system on a chip. RAM, gigabit, storage 64. System firmware, UEFI, or secure boot capable. Unfortunately, if you have a BIOS, which is a really old, that everybody still calls it the BIOS, but technically, you need, the firmware has to have UEFI or secure boot. UEFI is like a universal thing, so you can boot Linux, Windows, and all that. If your system doesn't have that, you're not going to be able to run a Windows 11. And Trusted Platform Module, which is TPM. I forgot to say that earlier. Graphics card compatible with DirectX 12 or later with WDDM 2.0 driver display. These are your display drivers. So, internet connection and Microsoft accounts. Windows Home Edition requires internet connectivity and a Microsoft account. That's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that they're making you set up a Microsoft account. There is a way when you install it to say no, not right now. Switching a device out of Windows 11 Home in S mode also requires internet connectivity for all Windows 11 editions. Internet access required to perform updates. That's a given. And download to take advantage of some features. A Microsoft account is required for some features. Okay, that's cool. But if you're not going to use them, and you know you're not going to use them, I don't recommend setting up an account. Kept the same hardware requirements from Windows 8. That's why it was so easy to go from Windows 8 to Windows 10, because the requirements were the same. UI stands for user interface. You heard me talk about that before, and we'll need to work. Windows 11's new UI and other features will need to work on an 86 ARM. That's ARM hardware. Foldable, flexible, and whatever's around the corner without breaking down or collapsing under their own weight. Complicated UI layering. Microsoft had enough of that with 8 and Vista. That's why Vista was so bad, because of the user interface. It was the most secure, but if you didn't know how the computer worked properly, it was very, very hard to use. All right, this is a heads up on what hardware is latest Microsoft OS targets, but we'll need the experience to tell us. So this guy tested hardware after hardware to get to where you need to go. I'm not going to play that because that is not my video, and that's not fair to the author. So I knew Microsoft was, as I said before, was going to stop supporting the 32-bit architecture. So if you have currently are running the 3-bit, basically a board that's 32-bit, you're going to be out of luck. Now, if you're concerned about money, what I would do in this case is use that computer until it either dies or you have to upgrade it to get at the speed of the internet that you want. When you buy a new computer, it's going to be 64-bit. Everything that comes from the store is 64-bit. This is going to be like Windows 10. When you went and bought a computer with Windows 10, you had Windows 10 Home, because home market. Pro was for the professional market. Personally, I think you should be able to get Pro. Like the Windows XP days, you were able to buy Pro, or the Windows 2000 days, you were able to buy Pro. This is something different. So that's what you need to get Windows 11. I'm going to see if this computer has TPM and Secure Boot. I'll enable those, and I'll see what I can do with that. So with that said, that is it for this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications.